everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of Talkoffame podcast. I'm Kylie Montigney. Today, we're so excited to welcome Ariel Jolie. Ariel is 24 years old and is certified life coach under the Life Coach School. As an emotional well-being teen life coach, her mission is to help teens manage their mind, especially their emotions, and to feel empowered in who they are in their future endeavors. She is extremely passionate in helping our generation in their mental health. Welcome to the show, Ariel. I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm super stoked and grateful to be here.
I'm super glad to have you, and I literally have so many questions to ask you because a lot of our audience is teenagers actually, and also parents. And I know from my perspective, I'm 19 years old, so some of the questions I'm going to ask you is kind of, from my perspective, actually, like in terms of like, okay, you're a life coach, let's see. But if people are really not familiar with you, I know I did a lot of information in the intro, but kind of tell us like more about you and like what you do exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that nice, warm introduction. It's kind of funny. A lot of people don't know what life coaching is, and that's why I love doing what I do, is like showing them the power of what this new industry is.
Hmm.
So I am a teen life coach, and I work with tweens, teens, young adults, so middle school to college students, basically on prioritizing their mental health, turning their mental obstacles into mental strategies so
Hmm.
they feel like the things that once tore them down, they can learn to love and make them stronger, whether that's time management, stress management, or confidence. I love working on confidence. Um, I just love to serve as a voice for my generation, teaching them the things that I think we all wish we wanted to learn in school, just learning how to manage the stress and academic pressure, learning
Hmm.
to manage the social anxiety and social pressure with that, and learning to love ourselves, as cheesy as that sounds. Um, it's so important in what we do is just learning to love our lives and love what we
Hmm.
do and who we are and who we're becoming.
I don't know if like you experience this as well or for other people, but for me, it's definitely hard to see that. Like as someone who deals with confidence and seeing everybody on social media living their best lives, it really does lower people's self-esteem basically based on body image, how they look,
Mhm.
models, and how their bodies are, and having to go to gyms. They want to see that perspective. And some people think like social media is happy in games, and it really isn't always like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think it can be so misleading when we are on social media. We are really on social media observing other people's lives versus creating our own. And we've become such consumers that we forget to create. Um,
We do,
you
yeah.
know, it's like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts and Snapchat, they're all so addicting for the
Hmm.
purpose of staying and keeping our attention on it. And I
Hmm.
think at a certain point we forget, like, we're going to remember more of what happens beyond the screen than what happens on the screen. And
Basically.
that's what I want to help teens see, is like your life can have so much value when you see what's beyond this little rectangle in front of you.
No, exactly. And sometimes people forget on how to actually live life without social media. Just because
Hmm.
like during the pandemic, like we talked earlier about, like that really made a lot of people our age, like teenagers and of course adults as well. But I feel like with teenagers, they became more and more addicted to social media because we didn't really have anything to do in the pandemic. So people became like more addicted to TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever you might like. It could be many different platforms, but I feel like TikTok and Instagram are like in Snapchat are just basically the bigger platforms and teenagers like our age. But with all that, it really like I feel like a lot of people don't actually know how to live life without social media because it really does consume our life so much that we always have to look at our phone at the dinner table or like or this with our family. That really took up a lot of our lives in recent years.
Literally, I think it's become our best friend.
Hmm.
And I almost want to help people see that it's more of a frenemy versus just a best friend. Like there are good parts of having a screen versus not. And that's one of the things that I do is just helping teens like regulate that. We're not trying to like remove your screen time, but we're trying
Mhm.
to upgrade it
Yeah.
because phones can be really fun. I mean, don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. I love a good bed rot or a doom scroll here and there. And it teaches us so much, but it also teaches us things that we need to relearn or we need to unlie to ourselves about certain things, whether, like you said, body image, self-image, overall image of who we are is something that can get heavily misconstrued when we look at social media. Like the amount of times that I'll scroll on Pinterest and see someone's like body shape or their outfits and wish I had what they had. It just can like ruin your mood for the rest of the day. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Like
that's how I am too, actually. Like looking on Pinterest and seeing things like, okay, I want this aesthetic in my life right now. Like these people are living their lives, even though we don't know behind the scenes of how things are going in their mental health.
exactly. And that's kind of what coaching is building your life to the aesthetic that you want it to be without feeling like it's something you have to have or coming from a place of guilt looking at
Mhm.
Pinterest, but from a place of inspiration. Like when I go on Pinterest, I'm usually inspired unless I'm comparing myself to them or fearing like I'm going to be judged if I try and be like that or I reject
Mhm.
myself from having that lifestyle. Like what I see a lot happen in social media are those things, comparing, judgment, rejecting ourselves, and all these limiting beliefs and coaching and just kind of just prioritizing yourself in that sense is learning to prioritize the aesthetic you want and live the life that you see on screen, but for yourself,
Mhm.
in a way you're proud of, but not feeling like you're obligated to create or that you have to live this Pinterest dream, but living your
Mhm.
own dream and defining what that can look like to you. That could be
You're
really fun.
exactly right. I feel like with a lot of like influencers, content creators, always have to feel the same to others because of how many views you get and all getting likes and reposts. And what makes people unique, in my opinion, I don't know how you feel about this, but what makes people unique is sharing their own story and how they want to live. It's okay to feel like you're getting judged and all that because I feel the exact same way. It's okay to feel
Mhm.
that way because even if after doing podcasting for 5 years, I still feel like that. And I don't think it ever goes away. Like, I don't think ever,
Totally.
but I feel like every time you do stuff, it gets better over time. But I don't think it ever goes away, though.
Totally. You're preaching to the choir. I've been a coach for 6 years and you've been doing this for 5 years. I think like the closer you are to your dream, sometimes the heavier it can feel. Like
It does, yeah.
like right before you publish a book, like you get all those second thoughts. Right before complete something or create something, you get second thoughts, or you just, get into your head about things. And I think that's what makes us human is we care so much, but
Mm.
also that can turn into concern
It
or
does,
worry.
yes.
And so I've kind of realized like as you grow, there's this idea that the more you put yourself out there, the more judgment you may receive, but
Mm-hmm.
also the more love you can receive. Like if you
It
think
comes
about,
both ways. It depends on like what you crave because especially if you're a teenager, other teenagers are more judgmental probably than most adults are. But I mean, it comes both ways, but I feel like
Mhm.
you're gonna get some judgment no matter how old you are in some ways.
If you're gonna get judgment no matter what, you may as well be doing what you want, not judging
Mhm.
yourself with other people judging you versus you not doing what you want to do, judging yourself and other people judging you.
And sometimes judgment is also meaning you're doing stuff right. It does come in good and bad stuff, but sometimes judgment comes in good ways. Not always bad, but it always comes in good. It depends on who you talk to is always, the part. I mean, if you want to get judgment, asking your close friends and family are always the key if you actually want judgment. That's kind of what I learned. If I want judgment, a family is the way to go.
I love that. I love that your family can be so real with you and like tell you straight up like what's right or wrong. And I think to an extent, like we filter that as judgment, and to many of
Mhm.
us that's a bad thing, but we also forget there's such thing as healthy criticism. And that's a hard thing for us as teenagers is like being willing to hear something without taking it personally.
Yeah,
And that
that's the hardest part for
filter.
me because even though like people make mistakes and make hate comments, whether it's wherever you post, it's hard for me to take it personally. I don't know how it is for you, but it's like dealing with hate, and especially as a journalism major, you get that all the time. So it's kind of like that's like the main thing I get stressed about as a journalism major is how I handle the hate for no apparent reason, for who I am, who I'm related to, who I'm friends with, like teenagers and anyone will judge you for no apparent reason instead of not knowing you. But social media is kind of like they will judge you without knowing you as like a regular person or know you personally.
Yeah, because it's so easy to hide behind a screen and just leave a comment and it not really impacting your life or anything because they can't track you down. They're not going to come find you if you leave a harsh comment,
Hmm.
but it's still going to hurt,
Yeah, it always
on the
hurts in
receiving
some
end.
ways. Some people handle it better than others.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the hardest part is how do we handle it and not make it mean something about ourselves. But the way I like to think about it is if you want to dream big, you're going to have big opinions too.
That's
It's like
true.
thinking about Taylor Swift, like oh, there's a lot of Swifties out there, and there's a lot of, just people that admire other people. From all
Hmm.
the role models that you have in your life, you consider how many haters do they probably have, and how many lovers or fans do they have? And usually, like if we think about, I don't know, like Taylor Swift, she has a lot of fans, but boy, does she have a lot of haters too.
It's like I feel like there's always haters everywhere, but also Taylor Swift with how big she is. There's always
Mhm.
gonna be haters like with her, David Travis Kelsey. Like, if people are saying her music's not good, I mean, it's okay. Not everyone's music is for everyone. Everyone
Yeah.
has different tastes, but no matter what people do and how famous they are, even going for a walk, people can just be like, oh, they're not busy doing work. I'm just like, can't they be a regular human no matter how big they are? But for some reason, Taylor Swift sometimes gets hate for no reason. Even if it's just she's doing regular things or not going on tour, releasing new music. I'm just like, I feel bad at the same time
Yeah.
because, like, even if she goes on a walk or just goes somewhere, I'm just like, she gets hate for it.
Yeah, for even like the smallest thing she does, there's going to be some sort of headline on the front of a magazine of what she's doing wrong, and it's going to be completely
Exactly.
misconstrued. And that's like, it just makes me think about this important lesson that no matter where you are in life, there's going to be people supporting you and people hating on you. And usually, the more you grow, the more haters you have. But the most important thing is, are you a hater of yourself or are you a fan of yourself?
It also is how you are as a person. Because some people hate on people just for how they are and to make themselves feel better.
Yeah, sometimes it's jealousy too. Hey, I'll be real with you. There were some people that I really admired in high school, but would just hate on internally because that was my only way of making myself feel better about it. And I realized like hating on people can help mask what you truly feel about them, which is admiration or jealousy or feeling like you're not doing enough.
Hmm.
But then if we can use that observation as inspiration to how can we be like them in a way that makes us happy? That's where comparison can become healthy. It's like,
Yeah, because I
yeah.
feel like everyone becomes that. Like some people get jealous and hate. I feel like sometimes it's also a learning experience. I feel like that's how most teenagers are because with high school I see that more often because in high school, like for me, I don't know how it was for you, but for people doing their own thing and how they are, they'll probably think you as weird or
Mhm.
judgmental, even though you're doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, well, for me in high school, I was very to myself, shy, insecure, and I feared judgment so much that I was projecting what I thought people thought about me and just thought about myself, that
That
they don't
that
think I'm
that's how I was too, and I still deal with that now. I don't think like it definitely gets easier over time, but I feel like for high school I was the exact same way.
Yeah, yeah. And I think in a sense that it doesn't go away as much as Like when I work with people and just talk to people, they ask me like, "How do you get through that?" I'm like, "It doesn't necessarily get easier. You just get stronger at handling it."
And it
It's so
kind of
easy.
like, especially if you deal with it all the time, you're just like, you get better at it as time goes on, no matter like how old you are.
Yeah, honestly, like if you are trying to get over the fear of judgment, it's kind of like getting over the fear of public speaking or fear of skydiving. You're not going to get over it unless you address it head on.
That's
It's the
true. Because no
best way to
matter who
practice
you
it.
address it, like it can be asking friends or family. It can be many different ways, but I know with people, like if they try it once, you know if you're gonna like it or not. Like if you don't
Mhm.
do it, you never know if you're gonna like it.
Yeah, it's literally exposure therapy.
It
Um,
is exposure therapy, exactly.
yeah, and I think it's good to an extent. Like I know I fear spiders, but I'm okay with just fearing spiders. I
That's
don't know
how
if I
I
want to
am. My
become that.
biggest fear is actually spiders. I'm not lying, actually. Spiders, like no matter what spiders are, I don't care what it is, but
Mhm.
literally spiders, if there's something around me, I will literally run for my life.
Literally bye. Yeah. I'm
Like no
not
matter if
dealing
I'm
with that.
like in my neighborhood or something, I'm like, I can't do this. You do on your
Mhm.
own. I'm sorry, but I can't do this.
Yeah. Isn't that so interesting though that we're like okay with some fears and others we're just like see it as a problem.
Yeah, it's like everyone has their own fears. Like some people oftentimes see it as a problem. Like everyone gets scared of something. It's just a matter of what. Like it's okay to be scared
Mhm.
of something.
Yeah, and you know what? It's okay to be fearful and scared of judgment too. I think we all at its core just want to be loved and want to be liked, and
Hmm.
that's 100% okay.
Hmm.
But if we're using that to a detriment or to be someone we're not, that's when it becomes more harmful than helpful.
Yeah, I know people oftentimes mask who they are, and I'm talking from personal experience. I do it too to fit in. And that's kind of
Mhm.
what I noticed too. I don't know if you're like that too, but I oftentimes
Yeah.
feel like I have to mask who I am to fit in with other people and to have people like me for who I am and not feeling judged. Like I sometimes I
Mhm.
do, sometimes I don't. I feel like I did that often in high school, but it's kind of less often now since I'm in college and it's new experience and all of that. But if it's like sometimes I am, because I'm in fear of like if I'm being my real self, people won't like me.
Yeah, and that's crazy because I feel like you're already so likable just from the 20 minutes we've been talking.
Mm-hmm.
But we tell ourselves that we're unlikable or there's that potential and then we
Mm-hmm.
believe it and it becomes what we follow. And it's so easy in high school to just tell ourselves we're unlikable and then let that be our truth. Especially if we keep thinking it over and over again, the more true it's going to feel.
Yeah, it's like especially if your mind's telling you over and over again, you won't be able to tell the difference. Like, okay, like this is true, even though it's not actually true.
Yeah, that's the hard thing and the most beautiful thing about our lives is learning to tell ourselves what we want to believe because if we're telling ourselves we're not approachable enough, not pretty enough, not smart enough. That's one way of thinking.
Hmm.
And we just adopted that one day. And if we're able to believe what we don't want so deeply, then imagine what happens when we believe what we want so deeply.
And it changes your whole mindset. Because for me, it's like I always think negative more than a positive. And if you think
Mhm.
like that, that's all gonna be in your mind is negative rather than a positive. And it's hard to get out of that.
Yeah, you know what? It is really hard to get out of that. And I appreciate you being real and just saying that because for 99% of us, our brains will naturally go to the negative first as a
Hmm.
survival mechanism. Like we just want to protect ourselves. Our caveman brain, our survival brain, thousands of years ago have been prioritizing how do I stay alive? How do I stay in the social circle? How do I fit in so I don't get hunted or kicked out of the tribe? How do I
Hmm.
make sure that I have a roof over my head? How do I think of what's the worst thing that could happen so then I protect myself and I defend myself? And what's crazy is that mindset has not left us. We
Hmm.
think of what's the worst that could happen. We think, how are we going to be accepted into this tribe, which is really just social circles in school nowadays.
Hmm.
And that mindset, that survival brain, is still with us and not doing as good as it used to. It's doing more harm than good now because we're just focusing on what could go wrong
Then
to
rather
protect
to be
ourselves.
right.
Yeah, like that's my favorite question is when I was spiraling, I would think like, all the worst things that could happen and all the wrong things that could happen. And we forget that there's the flip side of the coin. Like, what's the best case scenario? What's the best that could happen here? What could go right? And we can control that too, not
Hmm.
just the worst,
And I
not
feel
just what
like
the
we control everything our mind goes to. It's just a matter of what. It's okay to ask for help, but it's kind of like we can control what our mind goes to. It's okay to ask for help, like maybe go to therapy or just talk to family. Like we all deal with negative mindsets and all of that. It's just a matter of how you control it and what you think. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think like what makes a negative mindset super negative is if we believe in it, if we
Mm-hmm.
live by it, and we act by it, and we make that mindset our lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's the ability that a lot of us have but don't realize is like we don't have to conform to the first thing that we thought.
Mm-hmm.
We get to believe more than what our brain gives us. We get to talk back to our brain more than our brain listens to us. That's the
Mm-hmm.
best part.
It is actually. You said it like I was literally going to say the exact same thing. So you read my mind with that. But on the other end, so you're 24, like we talked about before. You already built a powerful mission with working with teenagers and making life coaching and all of that. But what drives your passion for helping this generation in
Yeah.
like teenagers and their mental health? Like what kind of drives you with that?
Yeah, honestly, it's just knowing that so many teens, many people in general, just don't know the life-changing impact of life coaching. And
Hmm.
that fueled a fire in me to be a voice for my generation because they're like, what is this? Is this, are you telling me what to do with my life? Are you a fitness trainer? And for me, I got into it because I had such a huge impact of being coached by a life coach at 16. I didn't take the traditional therapy route in high school because what's so cool about coaching that drives this passion is that it prioritizes your present and your future self versus reflecting or reviewing on your past. And
Hmm.
I knew the only way path or the only path forward was to focus on my present and future self. So
Hmm.
coaching was an amazing pairing because not only is it goal oriented, but it helped me to manage my mind like we've been talking about.
Hmm. Like that's how I was too. It's because like well, growing up, I lived with anxiety all my life, and I remember during the pandemic, we kind of talked about this before we started recording, but like during the pandemic, I was like, I'm done being so anxious about what I do because I was a shy kid growing up, and a lot of people don't expect that from me. Like nowadays, because I'm so talkative, but it's like when I was growing up, I was not like that. And I
Mhm.
feel like after a while, with people kind of doing the same thing over and over, it gets so old that they can't take it anymore. And I feel like with a lot of people, in during the pandemic and so now that like they realize with so much time they're like okay I need to figure my life out. Yeah, I don't want to live like this anymore. Whether it's mental health or jobs, careers, college, it could be really anything that sometimes not everything's the right fit, and sometimes like even if friend groups can be toxic. Like you can have friends that you're friends with for years and realize they're toxic or just not the right friends. I dealt with it. Like everyone deals with it at some point. It's just the matter of time when you actually realize it.
Yeah, for real. Like I think that there's a lot of hidden anxiety in school, in our social circles, and that's one of the things I find that we all face is just this decline in excitement and increase in stress. Um, what I'm seeing a lot in teenagers is just not believing in themselves or feeling capable to go after their dreams, not in a dramatic, like, I can't do anything kind of way, but more like in this quiet, hidden way of, oh, this probably isn't for me, or I'm not the type of person who can do that, or I can't make that friend, or I shouldn't go for this, or other people could do it, but not me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because, like, remember how as kids we all had these big dreams of
Mm-hmm.
being like an astronaut or a paleontologist or a teacher or a singer or something big? And then there was no hesitation until comparison, until that fear, that anxiety comes up, or those social situations and social anxiety arises. And we go from, why not me to, why would I do that?
Yeah, especially like when kids all we live in some sort of fantasy where this is what I'm going to be when we grow up. Then when we grow up, we're like, why was I thinking that? Like that, like did I dream big more when I was a kid than actually now? These dreams, as we get older, sometimes they'll become a reality. But when we're kids, it's like, okay, I'm doing this, I can do that. We can dream whatever
Mhm.
we want. But as you get older, you're kind of like when you're hitting college time or senior year high school, you're kind of like, okay. What do I want to live my life? You can choose as many careers as you want as a kid, but sometimes, like as an adult, you can change careers. It's like that's completely normal. But sometimes,
Mhm.
like as you go to college, you're just like, okay, this is I have to do this for the rest of my life because this is my major.
Yeah, we think we're like so confined to one way of living, and there's so much we can learn about our younger selves. Like we weren't really delusional back then.
Hmm.
I think we were just had high self-belief, and we were just living in this fun la la land that, like, over time went away. But I feel like who's to say we can't be in la la land? Like, if other people can do it, why can't we?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter how old we are. Everyone does it at some point. Even myself, I'm not gonna lie, I do it all the time. But it
Hmm.
doesn't go away. It's okay to feel like that, but at the same time, like it never goes away, even if you're 5 years old or you're 50. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah, dreaming big is one of the most fun things we can do for ourselves, even if it feels like a little delulu, a little delusional. But it's fun because, like, what if we actually do something about it? What if we
Mhm.
actually say yes to it? What if we actually make our younger selves proud and do what younger us have always been wanting to do?
And like we just need to make our younger selves proud, you know? Like even if we dream something since we're 5 years old and end up doing it, like that makes like whatever how we are, how old we are during that process, like you always want to have like you make your younger self proud for how far you come because everyone deals with their own problems and how far they come. That's like everyone is proud of themselves for whatever struggle they're coming with. It doesn't matter what.
Hmm. Yeah, I think no matter what dream you follow, no matter what you do, just make yourself proud. Like
Hmm.
that's something you get to do, not something you have to do, but why not? Like
Yeah.
this is your one and only life, and
And you can
pride
only
is an
live for
option.
so long.
Yeah, if pride's an option, if living the life that you want to is an option, then as daunting as it might feel just going after it, like what's the alternative? Is the alternative as
Hmm.
much fun?
And what do we have to lose is also a question. Like the worst case scenario is we never do it again.
Hmm. Yeah, the worst case scenario is like we either don't do it again or we never do it and we always wonder what could have happened. And I
Like
rather,
like if wonder what we tried and how we liked it. Because if you don't do it at a certain time, you'll regret it for the rest of your life and wish like, oh, I wish I could have done this at so and so
yeah,
age.
my motto is I rather regret action than inaction.
That's how I am too. Like I'd rather do something and then not regret doing like then not regret doing it at all.
Hmm. Exactly, exactly. Let's just not regret. Let's just do whatever it takes, even if it doesn't work out. Because why
Hmm.
not?
Totally. And the last question I wanted to ask you before we wrap up is how can parents or mentors support teens in developing self-assurance? I know we kind of talked about this earlier, but how can parents or mentors support teens with that?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question because so many parents want to support their teens. And I find that when I talk to parents, they're like, what do I need to do? What do I need to say to support my teenager? And sometimes they're trying to find like a tangible solution, but sometimes the most powerful thing we can do as a parent, as a peer, and as a friend is to listen without
Hmm.
the need to fix. Like just seek to understand, not to always respond.
Hmm.
Because if we can just be there for someone without feeling like there needs to be a change or there needs to be fixing, then they can realize that what they're going through doesn't always have to be changed or doesn't always have to be fixed. That deep valleys in our lives are deep challenges in our lives doesn't necessarily mean anything's gone wrong. We can
Mhm.
hold space for that and we can be okay with that as parents. And that's sometimes the solution in and of itself is just being there for them and loving them unconditionally without changing or doing
Mhm.
anything different. That can be a beautiful solution.
And oftentimes, people, no matter how you are, mirror their parents and how they are. So, oftentimes, like with parents, like you oftentimes have to control what you kids see and act based on how you act. Because oftentimes, like if you're being miserable, your kids will be miserable. Like, for example, if one of my parents is miserable and upset, I'll be miserable and upset. Because I can oftentimes like sense like they're feeling that way. I know a lot of people do that also. So like with that, like it's important for parents to at least be aware on how their emotions affect their children and be honest about how like they feel about certain topics like self-confidence or self-assurance. Like mostly parents teach their kids more about those things than therapists or life coaches.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Like having that direct impact is going to be super influential in your teen because they see what you do every day, whether they make a remark about it or not. And one of the things I see or what I've learned a lot is how parents talk to their kids about other people or how parents talk to their kids about themselves is how kids and teens and all of us think other people talk about themselves.
And it makes them think like it's okay to talk bad about other people.
Yeah, I mean, if your parents are talking bad about somebody else, then their child or you might fear that other people talk about you the way that your parents talk about other people. So,
And it sets a bad example, and that's kind of like not the easiest thing because if they think it's okay based off their parents and how they act, they think it's totally okay to do it to other people and not
yeah,
care about how they react.
yeah, and also they fear that maybe other people are talking about them the way that their parents talk about other people, just in a judgmental way. And so, to all the parents listening, like, really be self-aware of the way you talk about other people, also how you show up with your screen time, because that's a huge one.
Hmm.
Also, how you show up towards your own self-image, because if you have goals for your own child that you aren't even representing, how are we going to lead by example if we're not even leading?
That is true. And also, it doesn't have to be your kids. It can be like your niece's friends. Like, it doesn't always have to be your kids. Like, it's perfectly okay to set an example for other people, but even like just people always looking up to you. Like, even like they always mirror on what you do. It doesn't always have to be your kids. So you're
Mhm.
kind of leading by example and how other people should react. And no matter if it's like family, friends, or whatever, you should always lead by example and be a good person and treat others with kindness, no matter like if you're dealing with a lot like depression, anxiety, or just like family problems. Like it can be a variety of different ways, but it always depends on how you react to that is the
Yeah,
most important thing.
yeah. Leading is a great thing you can do for others, but also just know that your future self and your younger self are watching too, not just other people.
And you
Like,
just want to make yourself like your younger self proud. That's also another thing too.
yeah, I like to like pull up a picture of my younger self every day or have that picture as my wallpaper. So then
Mm.
anytime I go on my phone, I'm like, would younger me be proud of like what I'm about to do? Some doom scrolling or some self-comparison on social media or even just like having my phone out and seeing my face light up as I'm working or as I'm with friends, like is what I'm doing right now, leading by example.
That is smart. That's actually a fantastic idea, actually, to have little you on your wallpaper. That is actually very smart.
Thank you, thank you. I feel like there's a lot we can learn about our younger selves and
Oh,
take.
absolutely. Yeah. So I think that is a perfect way to wrap this up. I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time with us. I know you are a busy person, so I know this means so much. I know for a lot of parents and teens, they can really benefit from this episode. I know for myself, I really do as a teenager or adult, wherever you want to describe a 19-year-old. But I really appreciate you coming on and time with us today. It means so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Kylie. It was fun to yap a little bit with you and, just be able to spread some hopefully words of wisdom and yeah, just spread the love. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that. It was really fun.
Of course. I love chatting with you, and definitely we need to do this again soon, like another time though. I love that.
For sure, for sure. I feel like there's so much I could say and we were just bouncing ideas off of each other. So more ideas to come.
Oh, for sure. So thank you everyone for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, and review, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.